Hello and welcome to C sharp melodic minor. It's the relative minor to E major. They both have 4 sharps at key signature. Yeah, so F, C, G and D sharp. Also, like E major, we have the option to do it either most of the scale in half position or in a high first position. So I will walk you through both options and you can pick whichever one you prefer. Obviously, consider it's a melodic minor, C sharp melodic minor. We end up with the highest 6th and 7th note being A and B, become A and B sharp on the way up, goes back to A and B natural on the way down. So essentially we end up with 6 sharps on the way up and 4 on the way down. The only one that doesn't change is the E. Yeah, so let's have a quick run through all the possibilities. So C sharp, low first finger on the C string. Now I prefer to do a second finger on the D sharp and then shift the semitone up to E. Yeah, but you can also do low first finger and go tone up to D sharp and then arrive again with the second finger on the E. Okay, F sharp, G sharp, then we have the A sharp, B sharp, C sharp, so as first octave, continue, D sharp, E natural, F sharp, G sharp, A sharp, B sharp, and C sharp. And if you want to go all the way to the last 2 notes, then you of course have a D sharp and the E natural. Yeah, so those are the notes on the way up. Yeah, and I used the high first finger position. Yeah, on the way down, so the scale finished on that C sharp. Yeah, the B sharp becomes B natural, and then we have our only ever option on an open string. You could do either A or 4th finger A. Yeah. High 4th finger for the D sharp, C sharp, and now we have that E, and then I go a semitone down and we finish on the C sharp. Yeah, so that was the option with the high first finger. I'm going to run you through all the same notes again, but this time we stick with the low first finger. So we have C sharp, D sharp, but now we use a 3rd finger for that E, F sharp, G sharp, A sharp, B sharp, and back to C sharp. We continue, D sharp, E natural, so semitone, F sharp, G sharp, A sharp, and then we end up with a 3rd finger essentially on the C sharp. Now you can do 2nd finger there as well. Take your pick. Let's say we used the 3rd finger. Now on the way down we have a bit of a problem because I have after the C sharp on the way down, that's B sharp become B natural, so then you end up with a second finger on the B, which feels a little bit weird, and then you end up with an open A string. Yeah, so it does make in this case more sense to go up the scale with, remember, A sharp, B sharp, you know, being both fingers a semitone forward, and we have our C sharp, and then we have our B on the way down. But then take into account that we have to go back to half position for that G sharp. Yeah, so both of these scales have exactly the same notes, only we chose different finger patterns. I find the one staying in half position physically a lot easier because you don't have those highly extended fourth fingers every single time. But it seems a little bit more unlogical because when it looks like a first finger, it isn't the first finger. When it looks like a second finger, it isn't the second finger. So you get a disconnect between what you see on the sheet music and what your fingers are actually going to be doing. But the notes themselves are the same. Yeah, so pick and choose whichever of these you prefer and practice it that way. You know, when you've worked your way through the scale a couple of times with the fingering you chose, then just learn the other one. Yeah, once you know how a scale sounds, it is a little bit easier to start experimenting with things. So I would say stick to one choice until you know the scale very well and you can look ahead at what happens next and you understand why the notes are what they are, and then start experimenting with different fingerings and see what works best for you, because everybody has different preferences. Yeah. Now the rhythm is very similar, well actually the same to the E major, so we have 2 beat down bow with 4 quavers at the tip, and the next note 2 beat up bow and the quavers at the heel, and so on and so forth. Make sure that the sound of the quavers at the tip and at the heel match. Yeah, there are other scales where we discuss this. Pay attention to the sound quality. Yeah, we have 4 beats for each note, so use the minim, the half note in the beginning of the bar, to pay attention to the intonation, and then when you do the quavers, pay attention to the sound quality. Yeah, that they sound similar whether they're at the tip or at the heel. Just make sure it's always beautiful. Okay, let's work our way through this entire scale, and today I'll stay in half position, and maybe the next scale I will do it differently. So we're at 40 for now, very, very slow. Ready? Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Low first. 1, second. Semitone. Okay, first finger. So that's a lot of notes with a very confusing finger pattern, so take your time. Yeah, be patient. Take one issue at a time. Start first with finding the right notes and the right intonation, and only then start worrying about the rhythms, the sound quality. Yeah, don't fight all the battles in one go. There's too many things going on here. Yeah. Also, I did something I didn't introduce before when I went from the A, open A string. As usual, I went for a fourth finger on the next string. Again, the A. So I did A. And then I went for a low fourth finger to go back to that half position. So I used the half position on the way up and down. You don't have to go for that fourth finger on the A. You can play the entire bar with an open A string and go straight for the low fourth finger on the D string. It's up to you. With experience, you'll find what works for you best, what you find most reliable, what is easiest for your hand, what is best in tune. All these things, experience will teach you what is your preferred technique. But don't spend time on practicing the stuff that you don't find so natural, because sometimes music doesn't allow you the easiest solution. Sometimes you are somewhere and you have to continue with whatever you have, and you might get into an awkward corner. You still have to sound beautiful, so practice it both ways. Anyway, I'm going to move on to 60 beats a minute, and I'll see you there. Bye.